noisy!
Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Overwatchers. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I'm sitting here with Mr. Patrick Beja. Welcome back, Patrick.
Hey, how awesome was that intro?
Dude, it was
honestly,
it was fantastic. So many I don't it was a while ago. It was significantly before December. I asked our buddy Bo Gorath. I was like, "Hey man, I hear you're doing podcast intros now. You got any interest in doing one for an Overwatch show?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, man." And then we played some heroes, didn't really talk about it again, and then randomly this week, this awesome music sound shows up in our inbox. So
and we were like, well, now that we have an intro theme, a theme music, we have to do a show again. Like, there's no choice. We just have to.
Yeah, even though we had previously stated that we will be doing the show every other week fairly regularly, this has now been a 3-week gap. But hey, guys, holidays happen.
Yeah. That's honestly, that's the reason. And I think that with this little gap now, I think we're gonna stay on this 2-week rotation, and hopefully by the time we get to the next one, we'll have heard a little bit of news from the return of the beta, or at least I'm hoping the one after that, the beta will be possibly available. We are in January now.
We are in January
now. The
official
word is they're going to try and put out the beta again in January. So
I'd like to rewind you just so you could hear how not set in stone what you just said sounds.
because it's not set in stone for
the official word is that they're going to try. It's like, yeah, so it's really wishy-washy. They also said that February was worst case scenario to give themselves that padding. So I'm not holding my breath, but I certainly hope it comes sooner rather than later, because man, I don't know about you, I'm sitting here scratching my neck needing an Overwatch fix super bad. I don't know if you can scratch your neck. You've got that lovely scarf on, but
I move the scarf like this. I pull on each side, and it scratches my neck for me. So that's how it works.
Well, that just sounds like you need a softer material made for your scarf. But
in here we use like real scarves made of hard material for something. No, it's I'm in a weird place for Overwatch right now. It's sort of it's been long enough that I'm sort of forgetting even what Overwatch, the way I felt, is almost slipping away from me a little bit, and the interest in Overwatch is becoming a little bit more academic almost. It's more curiosity again. And I've been diving into Heroes of the Storm it was a complete surprise for me. I sort of got into it over the holidays a little bit before that, and I really got into it. But it's kind of this thing that I've been doing for the time that Overwatch wasn't available, and now I'm ready to jump back, and I'm excited again to jump back. It's kind of, I can see it. It's in our sight, so it's gonna come soon, I hope. And I don't know. It's a weird moment for Overwatch for me, at least. Are you just same even feeling towards the game? You're just ready to go whenever it comes back, and you're happy waiting, excited?
I'm never happy waiting for something that I want, Patrick. I am a very impatient person. I require instant gratification in everything I do. No, of course I'm not happy waiting, man. I'm so stoked. I want to play more of this game. Now, granted, I've been in this mental place where I know that I can't play it, so I've just been playing other games and having a good time around the Blizzard sphere, logging tons of games in Hearthstone, tons of games in Heroes, getting really mad at both of them because, oh man, the beginning of a month in Hearthstone is a total grind, and I just can't get out of the current rank I'm in Heroes, and it's making me really angry. So that's where I am at.
I've been listening to Into the Nexus. You're kind of angry.
I'm getting pretty salty
all over the place.
Getting pretty salty, man. That is my try hard game of choice, and nothing makes me angrier than people getting in and not taking Hero League seriously.
Seriously.
I understand playing games for fun, but if you tell me don't get so mad, it's just a game, I want to tell you get the hell out of Hero League.
Yeah, that's understandable for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes in Overwatch, because now I have a little bit of, I understand Heroes a little bit more, and I sort of understand how it works and how it relates to how it could relate to Overwatch once we do have a ranking system. And I think I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit more. I mean, I don't know. In Heroes, it's very frustrating when people don't do what they should be doing. I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing in Overwatch. And there was certainly a little bit of that in the beginning of the open beta weekend, when there was a lot of new people who were figuring the game out, and you were trying to tell them, hey guys, we need to get the payload, because if we don't, then we're not going to win at all. That's the point of the game. And, after a couple of days, they figured it out. But I think that Overwatch is a little bit more conducive to getting people to play for the objective. It's my sentiment. Maybe I'm going to be proven wrong, but
I think this is going to be an issue in any team-based game where even if getting the highest kill count isn't the thing that wins you the game, if that is tracked, someone is just going to sit around all day and just try and kill people.
No, that's true. That's true. But in Heroes, for example, in MOBAs, there are so many things you can do. Basically, you have a choice between, let's say, 5 things to do at any given time, right? And if you do there's one thing that you should be doing, and if you're not doing that, you're probably doing it wrong. In Overwatch, there's maybe a couple of things you can be doing. It's either going off and trying to kill whoever's on the map or doing the objective. So it reduces the amount of choice you have to.
I guess that's a good point. Yeah, you don't have like mercenaries you can go take.
Exactly.
You don't have 3 separate lanes. I mean, you do have a bigger map, but really the fact that there's just one objective on every single map in the game, it just kind of funnels everyone to the same area.
Yeah,
and if you want to kill people, you can do that while doing the objective, which also is true of Heroes. So I don't know what's wrong with you people in my games. But anyways, yeah. So anyway, we have an awesome new intro. It is January, the month where possibly the beta is going to come back with. We're going to talk about this a little bit longer in the news section. What we want, what we hope for the beta when it's back. But for now, we're going to talk about
support
and try poorly to finish each other's sentences. So we've been breaking down the 4 different genres, I guess, of Heroes over the past. This will be the 3rd episode now. So for the next episode, we will be finishing up with the attack heroes. But this episode, we were doing support, and we're kicking things off with Lucio, who I like to call the Burger King kids meal hero, because who designed this guy? His costume is terrible.
He's very different.
He's very 90s.
Different.
He's 90s is the word you're looking for.
Neon, green neon. I don't know. I think, I've mentioned on the show before, I didn't like him at all at first before I played him. But for me, the gameplay of the character sort of justifies even his looks. He's like, I don't know. It works better with the gameplay, but I agree. It's probably not the best designed hero of the bunch.
Yeah, he's either on the back of a burger box, or I don't know, selling soda to people. I don't know what's going on with him. But you're absolutely right. I didn't dig him at all at first either. Didn't really look like the vibe I enjoy from a Blizzard game. But man, he's fun to play.
Yeah,
I really dig him. So I just wanted to get that out, because I heard a lot of the same sentiments from a lot of my buddies that all like Blizzard games. They're like, man, I can't believe this guy was designed by Blizzard. It doesn't look like their jam. And we were all
whenever we say stuff like that, I tend to imagine that there's this one, concept artist at Blizzard who's the one person who designed Lucio and who loves the character, and he's like, I think he looks so cool, and lots of people like him at the company, and we're just like, yeah, he looks like crap, and I feel guilty, but
Well, and it's what happens when your stuff is publicly put out into the world.
That's true. And you know something about that, so.
I think anyone who has made a podcast knows something about that. So let's talk about his abilities. He can passively wall ride, which is something I didn't know for quite a while when I was playing him, because why read ahead of time before you play a hero? Don't do what I do, people.
But, that's why we're here. You just need to listen to, the 4 episodes, and you'll know everything there is to know about each character.
Yeah, I have a fun. That's my my bad learning experience for Lucio story. I also have one for Symmetra when we get to her, because man, when a game is as early in testing as this one is, I don't research jack, man. I just get in and play it, and it's probably not for the best, because I definitely lost some games for our team.
Mm. The wall ride thing is honestly possibly the least useful ability in the game. I've never seen it used really well during a game. I've seen videos on posted to Reddit from YouTube that were insane. Like the kind of things that Lucio can do with that ability is incredible. And maybe once we get into the proper game and people have time to use these kinds of abilities, they can be used in more actual gameplay moments. But because he can, on certain maps, if you know the maps, he can jump from one wall to the other and ride without touching the ground for 30 seconds, 1 minute. It's really ridiculous. You can you turn a corner and you can jump from one corner to the other because you have enough control of your jump when you're in the air. It's really insane what he can do, but I've never seen any of those used in actual games. So
yeah, it doesn't seem all that helpful for how he functions as a support, because he has these auras, and it radiates out from him basically as the center in a circle around him. So you usually want to be around your team, and you want to be as centered as possible to be affecting as many of your teammates as you can without obviously dying. So kind of being like up on a wall in the air, not the best place to be as Lucio.
I think it's good for escape mechanisms and maybe rejoin mechanisms. Maybe you can take shortcuts and things like that, possibly. But yeah, it's probably not the most useful one. It's certainly not his core. But you know what? I think it's a good point at this, because Lucio is kind of the poster boy for support, not healing, but support. A lot of people think that support is just about healing. It really isn't. Support is about health management, I guess healing in a way, but you can include shields in that. And I guess rejoin speed. I don't know how to call it, but
I'd like to use the term utility, because it's something we find on a lot of support characters in Overwatch and other similar games. And Lucio has a lot of utility. He has a lot of different abilities that aren't specifically healing, that support his team. He's not going to go in and get a lot of kills by himself, but having Lucio on the field using his abilities, knocking enemies down, speeding up his friend's movement speed, all kind of set the team up to have an edge.
Yeah, I agree to an extent, but I think utility is a little bit more all-encompassing than support, but it's still a little bit vague. What I'm trying to address here is this idea that support is not just about giving people health, in the for your team aspect of the game. It's also making sure that they're present where it matters as much as possible, and that means shortening the travel time. I guess that's really what it is. It's shorter travel time, either with Lucio's speed buff or Symmetra's teleporter. It makes sure that when you die, if the support is doing their job well, you'll be present on the battlefield more than if you didn't have that support character. So should we talk about the sonic amplifier first, or let's get it out of the way?
Yeah, his primary weapon. It also looks absurd. Its primary fire shoots out sonic projectiles. Its alt fire sends kind of a sound wave, and it knocks back enemies. So that's kind of how his main gun works. Which, if you haven't played him and you're wondering how he heals people, it's that aura effect that we were talking about before. He plays music. is what is happening. But it's basically an aura effect. You can dress it up however you want. It's an aura. It heals people, or it makes them run faster, which is his next main ability, which is crossfade, which allows him to basically select between a movement speed increasing aura, aka song, and a health regenerating aura, aka song. I don't know what music you're listening to that makes you healthier, but I want this. That sounds wonderful. I can just listen to it all day while I eat nothing but fast food. That'd be great.
That would be pretty good. I'd be up for that. It's a really interesting gameplay style because for all of the characters in the game, you always have decisions to make and buttons to push. It's never like, okay, I put my aura up and that's it. I can go to sleep. The crossfade choosing between the healing aura and the speed up aura is a very active choice. And then you have the amp it up ability that boosts the effect of that aura, whether it's the healing one or the speed up one. So if you just came back from, I think, the healing one is pretty straightforward, super powerful, one of the best, there are two primary healers in the game, and it's him and Mercy, and it's one of the healers, support characters you see the most in competitive-ish games. But so the healing part is pretty obvious. The movement part is super powerful as well. Let's say you die with some members of your team. If you wait for them to get back into the game, to spawn back in, or if you catch up to them, you can get them back on the battlefield depending where the action is, with the payload being close to your base. You can get them back in 5-10 seconds, which means they're going to be constantly streaming back. And if you play really well, you notice that there's a lot of people dying at a certain point, and you know that you're not going to be able to do anything alone. You might want to go back to your spawn area or close to it to get people back to where it matters quicker. So that is a super important ability as well. I really love that kind of play style, especially since the primary fire gun, the sonic amplifier thing, the bullets it shoots, the quote unquote bullets, the sound waves it shoots have some travel time. They're not as fast as some of the, as most projectiles in the game, but they do a little bit of damage. So you're not only healing a big part of your team if you're well positioned to have the aura touch everyone, but also you are contributing damage significantly if you're aiming well. So he's a very well-rounded character, a lot of fun to play, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and it's that decision. You always have to make a choice. Am I making everyone around me faster, or am I healing them? And knowing when to switch between the two is kind of the major, I feel like, learning curve with Lucio.
The what? Sorry.
The major kind of like the learning curve, like how
you do which,
how you flip the switch and become like a brand new Lucio player to a competent one is knowing when to use your crossfade, which aura you should have up. Yeah,
for sure. And then there's the ultimate as well that you have to know when to use.
Yes, yeah. Sound barrier is what it's called. Basically, he puts out a pulse, and it gives him and anyone that's near him that are friends personal shields. That would be awful if he gave it to enemies.
Well, they have to be teammates, not necessarily, friends. You're
right.
Be friends.
Allies. Allies for this game. You may not be allies by the end of the game, but for this game at least, you are allies. I love you. You're like, sir, we need to make a social distinction.
I was just being an idiot. That's what I do.
I loved that. Well, let's talk about Mercy, the other, as you said, dedicated healer.
Oh, can I just say before on the ultimate, it is one of the, well, I think many of these ultimates are super powerful, but this one can change a game, because when you get the shield amount that your allies get is enormous. So when you're making a last push, it can absolutely allow you to enter an area where you would have died because it's been locked down by the opposing team. But thanks to that ultimate, you're going to be able to survive just long enough to take down the enemies you couldn't have taken down. And that we've seen both him and Mercy being used a lot in the competitive games that we've had in the short time the beta has been up. Sometimes the two of them were being played together in one team. So Lucio would provide reasonable AoE healing and that ultimate, and Mercy would provide clutch healing on a specific target.
Not to mention her ultimate, which we'll get to in a minute, which is also game-changing. If the shields don't save everyone's bacon, I request a do-over. That's basically what Mercy can do. So Mercy, if you're unfamiliar, she's the one running around with the wings. Basically your quintessential healer. She really doesn't bring any utility whatsoever. She just heals. And she also has a pistol that does almost nothing, and you almost never see a Mercy using it.
So I would disagree with this already. The pistol can be a little bit useful sometimes. It's good to, you're not caught completely with your pants down. If you have someone chasing you, you can do a little bit about it. But for the utility thing, her staff can also buff the damage. And that can be very significant as well.
That is true.
It plays into her kit enormously because, so basically the way the thing works is that when you press right mouse button, it heals. When you press left mouse button, it buffs the damage. And it basically auto targets the character that's in front of you.
I believe
you don't even have to aim that much.
I do, however, believe you're swapped on which mouse button you click for which. I believe left click is heal, right click is damage buff.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, you're stopping me for really specific little asides, so I'm stopping you, sir.
Right. You're right to do so. But yeah, so the thing is, if you're just beginning, which is what I was doing, I would just heal all the time, and that's a lot of overhealing that is basically going down the toilet because you're not using that health.
Right. So, if you're a new Mercy player, you've never played before, really it's, are they damaged? Heal. Are they not damaged? Damage buff. Also,
right, exactly.
Maybe don't damage buff, Zarya, who's, how do you spell Zarya? I always pronounce Zarya. How is it?
Zarya.
Maybe don't damage buff a Zarya who's nowhere near in range of anything. Maybe move over to someone who's actually hitting something. But for the most part, rule of thumb, if they're damaged, heal them. If they're not, don't heal them. Give them a damage boost. Let's kill some people.
Exactly.
So... but yeah, so she's the Caduceus Staff, which is that primary weapon that lets her heal and damage buff, and then she has the Caduceus Blaster, which is just a pistol. She is one of the heroes. There aren't many, actually, in Overwatch where you actually do have to cycle between two weapons.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind. Now,
and then... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, her other abilities, she has Guardian Angel, which is her movement ability. You basically target an ally. We're not going to say friends. And you're going to fly towards them rather quickly. And you can move up or down. You can get to high places. If you need to heal that Widowmaker up on a ledge, you can fly up to her and start healing her. So this is how you kind of get around the battlefield. It's also a good way to kind of save yourself if you get caught out and you need to get away quickly. Hopefully someone on your team is in line of sight. And there's definitely will be those times where you're like, oh, yes. And then they turn a corner and break line of sight and you die. And you just go, oh, why? Why did this just happen?
But that's a good lesson for placement. Don't rush in like an idiot either. But the range on that is really, really high. It's not infinite, but it's really high. So you can probably catch that character you're trying to reach relatively easily. And that also plays into, when I was saying about Lucio just now, you always have different buttons to push and you have things you want to be doing all the time. This is the ability that gives that to Mercy. Otherwise, you would just be, healing, buffing, and then walking all the way to the other person that you want to heal. That makes that, zoom to an ally. It makes the gameplay of Mercy incredibly active and almost hectic sometimes. If you've played Mercy for a little bit, you are used to doing that all the time. And honestly, you're not spending more than 10 seconds in one place. It becomes very crazy. And you go from, oh, I'm just going to passively heal that person in front of me for the whole game to I'm zooming around everywhere like a crazy, insect of some kind.
If you ever wanted to be the ball from Pong, this is your hero.
Basically, yeah, that's what you become. It's a lot of fun. It's a specific kind of gameplay, but it's really fun. I like it.
I dig it. I dig it a lot. Mercy is my personal favorite support hero. I really enjoy playing her. And of course, we have to talk about her ultimate, Resurrect. She brings all of her dead allies back to life where they died with full health.
And that is, I think the consensus is that this is the most powerful ultimate in the game. Even Blizzard admits it's a little bit too powerful. They tried to bring it down a little bit during the beta, and it didn't work out so well. They integrated a delay that didn't work because then if others, if they resurrected between when you started and when it got active, then you would waste it and stuff like that. But it's going to be brought down a little bit somehow. There are ways to remedy that issue of delay. Basically, the reason for the delay was that you could try and kill Mercy between when she activates her ult and when it actually happens, so that you could deny the ultimate from happening. And that was the point of it. It just didn't work for a number of reasons. There are ways to fix it. If it's initiated and it goes through, then you don't resurrect. You resurrect on top of the other people. Anyway, there are ways of doing it. Yeah, for example, you resurrect the person, you hold their resurrection at the spawn point, and you resurrect them where they were. If you see that it's active, it's going to take a couple of seconds, but it's worth it. So, yeah, but that at the current state of things, it obviously changes the course of the game because you try something, it might fail, and you get a chance to try again. So it might be that they, balance it by lowering the amount of health you have when you just raise, although that would defeat the purpose because then you just die immediately again or, something. But it's if you imagine a team with a sound barrier and resurrect, they're very difficult to stop. And then you have the other team usually has a Mercy at least as well. So you end up having constant resurrection happening all over the game. It does need to be brought down a little bit.
I think it's fine because both teams can have it.
Yeah, but it affects the gameplay. I mean,
I think it affects it in a cool way.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, actually, I disagree. I'm not sure how cool it's cool for most games. I think at higher levels, it can bring a situation where you constantly res people. You have two teams being rezzed all the time. You have one going in, they die, they get rezzed, they try to kill the other one, the other one gets rezzed as well. And by the time that happens, Mercy has another ultimate up. It's a little bit too much, I think. But
but you're making it sound like there's no cooldown, and most games have a push and pull. So whoever is defending, the resurrect isn't going to be the biggest deal for them in the first place because when they die, if they're pushed back to their spawn point, they just run back in and join the fight. And it also, I don't know. I think I see it as kind of an anti-turtle measure, although it does sound like the way you're describing it can sometimes cause a turtle.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
A game that would have gone on, I feel like a game that would have gone on a long time just because of the runtime of the team that is attacking. I don't know what's happening to my voice.
Well, so yeah, I'm not saying that's not the case, and that's the way it's supposed to work ideally, but it can get out of hand a little bit. I don't think they're going to bring it down to the point that it's not going to work like that anymore. It's just that it's not going to be as incredibly efficient, and basically they don't want it to be mandatory if you're going to be playing somewhat competitively, and currently it is. So that's how it's not balanced for your team, because it makes Mercy a must-have for the team. So,
Don't know how they're going to balance it without making it a very unattractive ability.
Well, if you need Mercy to be placed somewhere safe, because now she can be in the heart of battle and just press the button, everyone's back up.
Right.
And even if you kill her, it doesn't matter, everyone's back anyway. So what they were trying to do with the delay was kind of like what you can do with Pharah or McCree, which is when you hear their ultimate go off, you have a couple of seconds to think, holy crap, I need to take them down now. And if they're not well placed, or if they didn't manage the moment when they use their ultimate well, they can waste an ultimate. So you can shoot them down and they're going to have 50% to 75% of the ultimate used. Their counter is going to go back down to 25 or 50%. With Mercy at the moment, when she presses the button, the effect has happened.
It's set into motion. Regardless of what happens after she hits the button, it's going to go off. She can die, but the team will be alive.
Exactly. So there's no way to counter it. So what they did with the delay was that if she died within the 2 or 3 seconds, it wouldn't happen. And, it caused the problems we heard about. But that was the idea, that she would at least need to go and hide a little bit, or make sure that she was in a safe-ish place to make it less of a, not I win button, but we're back no matter what button. So
right.
I think the approach makes sense.
All right. Anxious to see where it goes. But as it stands currently, it's an amazing ability. Play Mercy. Let's talk about Symmetra, who I also think a lot of people should learn how to play. I really dig Symmetra. Her main weapon is the photon projector. If you've seen this in action, it fires. It's relatively short range, but it fires a beam that just homes in on its target. So the beam kind of bends and contorts to stay on your target as long as they're kind of in your cone of vision, and you're close enough not to break the beam. But it does a significant amount of damage for a character that is under the support tab. The damage of the beam increases over time. The longer you keep it on a target, the more damage you're going to do. And then it has the alt fire, which we've talked about in previous shows, that fires an energy orb. It's very slow, but it deals a ton of damage, and it penetrates shields. This is great against your Bastions and your Reinhardts.
You were waiting for me to take over.
Morning voice, man. It's getting to me today for some reason. Sorry. Sentry Turret is her other ability. These are the things you probably walk into unknowingly. And if you haven't played the game yet, it will happen to you, because she can place multiple sentry turrets. We typically call them nests in the game, and they slow you when they hit you. So when multiple ones hit you, it's very annoying, and it's very easy to get killed by these or get caught out by it, because you're trying to sneak by someplace where Symmetra has laid a nest of turrets, and if the turrets don't get you, someone else will.
Exactly. And the slow isn't cumulative, but the damage is. So
yes,
it can add up very quickly.
Right, because even if you know what it is, know where the nest is, a lot of times people put them just on the outside of a doorway, so that you can't turn around and shoot them without getting hit by the sentries. So when you're getting pinged by one or more, it's very effective, because you're still getting slowed. Blowing up one doesn't save you from that slow. It just slightly decreases the damage. But you're very exposed for all of this, because you're slowed, you're taking damage, and if any other enemy shows up, it's not going to go well for you.
And usually, it's not rare that Symmetra is going to be just around the corner, and she's going to add her own beam to the one of her turrets. So there's honestly, I'm sure that will go away, but there's a factor of panic happening when that happens as well. You just walk into a door expecting everything to be fine, and you walk in and you're like, bzzz, and everything, just slowing you, damaging you, and you're turning around, holy crap, where are those turrets? And then you realize through the corner of your eye that Symmetra is there as well, with her thing that is following you and damaging you at the same time, with the noise and the things, and you're dead in 4 seconds. So it is very difficult to keep you're cool, kind of, when you're walking in that situation. You learn to do it because you understand what it entails, but at the beginning you're probably going to be dying quite a bit to all of those.
Yes, absolutely. This is also why the buddy system's not a bad thing to employ. Friends with you, maybe they can kill the Symmetra while you panic and find where the turret nest is. Anyway, let's talk about what actually makes Symmetra a support. It's really just the photon shield. That's her main supporting.
Oh, and the ultimate.
Fine, Patrick. Just keep correcting me. If we're gonna, I would argue that a teleporter isn't necessarily support. It's utility.
Oh, in the sense of healing. Okay.
It doesn't. Right. Yeah. I mean, if we bend the traditional understanding of what a support in a video game is, sure. I guess you could say, well, I'm helping them get faster. I'm supporting the team, but I could argue that I'm supporting the team by killing people as Widowmaker. So.
That makes sense. All right, fine. You get this one.
So yeah, the only ability she has to help keep people alive is the photon shield. She can place a shield on her allies. There's no wind up. You hit the button, the shield happens, and you can have as many shields on as many of your allies as you want. These are fabulous. They're permanent. They will recharge. They don't go away until the person you put that shield on dies. So this is very cool because we're going to talk about Zenyatta next, and he has abilities that work in opposite. They persist until Zenyatta dies. But with Symmetra, her shields stay on them until they die.
I think, the shields are very misunderstood. They are incredibly powerful, and they're super powerful when you can put them on someone, which is what she does. But they're also super powerful when they are part of your health bar. And Symmetra has... how much? Half or a third of her health bar, which is shields. And the shields are, the reason they're so powerful is that it's life that comes back very quickly. It is life. It's just as good as your regular life, except if you get out of dodge, it's going to come back. So let's say you play Tracer, and you have a shield from Symmetra, and you get down to 40 health, which is ridiculous. Someone spits on you and you die when you're at that point. Well, if you have the health from Symmetra as well, you get to 90. And 90, you can take a hit or two and not, well, probably one. But you get my meaning, right? It's going to come back and add. It's not like if your shield blows up, then it's not there anymore. Even if you had 200 health plus 50 shield and you get down to 40, that shield is going to come back up and add itself to your health pool. So
exactly. Not only have you increased their effective hit points, but you give them a chunk of new hit points that they did not have before that will always come back, providing they do not die.
Exactly. So in that sense, that is kind of healing. I know people say, "Oh, this is a shield; it doesn't really, matter," but it's not true, because when you're dead, if she didn't have the shield, once you went from 200 to 40, you would stay at 40, right? But here, whatever happens, you get back up to 90. And that is very useful, especially if it happens multiple times in your, until you die in your game session, between deaths. And that's probably why the shields are considered... Actually, they're not considered by the player base to be that powerful, but Blizzard has said repeatedly that Symmetra is the support that brings the most wins to teams, especially for, it seems to be more, or we don't know, but it's being weighted towards new players because the numbers were pulled when there were a lot of new players at the beginning of the beta and during the open weekend, or, the heavy test weekend. I can't remember how it was called.
Right. According to some of the databases that are currently up for Overwatch, by the way, her shield does 100 and her health is 100, so she effectively doubles her own health.
Right. So, and that's the same way. We talked about this for Zarya as well, who has half her health is shields. It's the same thing. All of those who have shields, we're going to talk about Zenyatta in a second. They have health that never runs out unless they die. So again, the importance of shield, I don't want to overstate it, but I want to emphasize it because a lot of people don't understand how important and efficient those freaking shields are.
Right. If they behave differently, I would get it if they were only persistent for X amount of seconds, or if once they depleted they were gone until reapplied. I would understand everyone kind of writing them off, but the fact that they are permanent and that they always recharge, providing you just don't straight up die, they're really effective in Overwatch.
Yeah.
So, by the way, when Symmetra doubles her health with her shield, she effectively has the same amount of hit points as Mercy. I guess Mercy has a base health pool of 200. So,
and Mercy can't heal herself.
No, she
can't.
can't.
I guess she can if she's healing someone else, but it's not gonna. She can't apply the healing that she does to herself.
Right. Well, does the healing beam heal herself?
Yeah.
Is that
if she's healing someone else or buffing someone else, she gets heal back.
I did not know
Doesn't
that.
she?
It doesn't say that anywhere in the ability rundown, and I don't believe that is the case.
Okay, maybe. Okay, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I was fairly certain that happened.
I mean, I'm looking,
okay. We'll have to check.
I'm looking at the official ability write-up, and it definitely doesn't mention it, and I don't think that's the case.
Maybe I'm wrong. It has been known to happen rarely, but yeah. But Symmetra's ultimate, the teleporter.
Yes, one of the biggest game-swinging abilities there is next to Resurrect. This is my other fun story about not knowing how to play a hero. You place the exit pad when you use this ability. You don't place an entrance and then an exit pad. Don't think it works that way, because your entire team will hate you.
Oh, did you place the
very first time
entrance at the spawn point?
The very first time I played Symmetra, I assumed you place one pad and then you place a second. No, you just place an exit and the entrance automatically appears at your team's spawning point. How dare I not know how to play a game that had just been put into early testing? But anyway, save yourself the embarrassment.
Yeah, that's definitely something you should know. But it's a super. I think it is for most games it's going to be even more powerful than Mercy's ult, because Mercy's ult is great if you have a coordinated team that knows what they're doing, and in competitive play it's going to be very efficient. Symmetra's ultimate, if you play it well, is going to be consistently helping your team throughout the entire game. And it's going to mean that I can't count the number of games where we were wrecked by a team that had a well-placed teleporter that people didn't look for. My teammates didn't look for. And the enemies kept coming back. If they have a teleporter, it doesn't matter how much you kill them, how many times you kill them. If they still have the teleporter, they're going to be back in 5 seconds. So if you know that there's a Symmetra at the moment in the opposing team, and you think there's a teleporter, or you have the voices saying, "Oh, the enemy team has a teleporter," your primary priority as an attack character, but maybe even as any character, becomes to find that freaking teleporter, because as long as it's up, you're not going to win.
Well said. It becomes the new priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Zenyatta.
Yeah, let's just move on to Zenyatta. Really nothing more to say other than teleporter wins games. So
yeah.
And you place the exit pad. Really important to know. Let's talk about the robot monk, Zenyatta. He's all about orbs. All of his abilities are orb related. I know it just looks like a necklace on him, but these are actually his weapons, and also healing abilities. But his main one is the orb of destruction. If you use right and left click, this you just start shooting them. It functions just like a normal gun, except he's doing jujitsu and firing off orbs. I don't know what he's actually doing. Don't write me emails saying that it's not jujitsu.
He's a robot monk ninja thing. He does it's right, like the jujitsu moves, like the prayer hand movements are awesome.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love the flavor. I love it so much. I don't care that a robot monk makes 0 sense. It's so cool. Zenyatta is the polar opposite of Lucio on the design front, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. Zenyatta is awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So your primary fire, you fire off the or actually I don't even know if it's primary and all. I think you might just hold down primary fire. Anyway, if you shoot it regularly, click, 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 it fires one orb at a time, or you can charge it up and fire them all off in rapid succession, and it does an insane amount of damage. But the hitbox on this thing is tiny. It's almost like trying to land a sniper shot. So you have to be incredibly accurate. And since you have no zoom function whatsoever, it's pretty hard to hit far targets. But
the people who play Zenyatta well wreck opposing teams. It is incredibly. You're right. He's almost like a sniper, and he can charge his five orbs that he sends at once with his ult fire, and at the same time, while he's charging, he can send an orb of discord, which is his debuff, which means enemies are going to be taking, well, the enemy that has it is going to be taking 50% additional damage, and then fire the multiple orbs. So he can one-shot almost any enemy in the, it's not really one-shot because you have to debuff and land.
I'm about to say,
five.
it's a 5-shot, sir.
Yeah,
it's clearly 5 shots.
You're right. You're right. I corrected myself if you noticed. But it's a 5-shot, and beyond that, you also have to do the Orb of Discord. But it's almost it sort of homes onto your target, so you don't have to be as precise with the Orb of Discord. So he's a support for sure because his healing is very powerful.
Yeah.
But he's also a damage-heavy support.
Yeah. We haven't even discussed his healing. It's the other orb we haven't discussed, the Orb of Harmony. It works the exact same way as the Orb of Discard. It can be fired onto one ally and only be on one person at a time. If you apply it on a new target, it is removed from your older target. And it will just continually heal that person over time as long as you, Zenyatta, stay alive.
Which is a weird way of thinking of it, but you can put it on someone and they go off and do their own thing, and it's going to keep healing them forever. Of course, the likelihood is that you're going to see someone in your direct vicinity that is going to be needing health as well. But in theory, you could just let that person, go roam around and have that health constantly on them.
Right. It's part of what makes him really cool, because a lot of healers, they want to stay with the main group. They want to heal the people around them. But Zenyatta can support someone like Reaper who wants to get behind the back lines and cause a lot of havoc. You can actually heal a Reaper without removing yourself entirely from the rest of the team. Yeah, although, granted, you won't really be healing them because your orb will be on the Reaper, but you can still be part of the fight.
That's how it's balanced, but it's possible in theory if you have an assassin that's charged with going and, for example, finding the teleporter. You could put the orb on them and do that.
Exactly. And if your ultimate is up, Transcendence, it's also pretty safe to let your Orb of Harmony go to someone who's going to leave the fight, because you can keep everyone else alive by using Transcendence. Zenyatta becomes completely immune. You can't hurt him. You can't kill him. And he heals himself as well as nearby enemies. Or allies. I don't know why I said enemies.
Because you were thinking friends, and I sort of disrupted your train of thought.
Maybe.
There's one tale of noobness that I can balance yours with.
Oh,
here.
Nice.
The Transcendence is active, but basically it keeps going until it stops, unless you interrupt it by using another ability, which I might have done the first or 2 times that I played Zenyatta.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, you throw up your Transcendence, you're like, yeah, I'm healing everyone, and then you press a button.
Like you accidentally left click, and then you throw out like one little orb and off.
Exactly, and it stops everything. No, I was wondering if you could attack during Transcendence. And, well, I guess you can right after, because it interrupts it. So.
You can't attack during Transcendence, but you can ruin it and start attacking earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Good to know.
And I guess we didn't. This ultimate is, in theory, very cool. I think the others are cooler, though. I don't know that this one has been used so much because it doesn't make anyone invulnerable. It doesn't give them more health points. You can still kill someone that's under Transcendence. So I think it's not it's probably the least useful support ultimate. And I would argue Zenyatta, even though he's very damage heavy, is the least used. I love playing him. I can't play him very well, but I think he's the least used support character.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the other three supports' ultimate abilities have a more significant effect on the game.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and we didn't mention his Orb of Discord also means that you're going to keep vision on a target. So in theory, if you want to keep, if you see again, this is higher level play, but you see a tracer going by and going into your base, and you want to make sure that you know where she is, you can put the orb on her and chase her around. It's very niche, a very niche use, just like leaving an orb of harmony on someone that goes and does something on their own is probably very niche, but it's possible.
And there will be those games where the tracer is just a total thorn in your side, and you have to deal with her. And doing that really, really neuters a tracer's effectiveness, because the whole reason she is so effective is because you never know where she is, because she's blinking all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
And, I was thinking earlier that we don't have invisibility mechanics in Overwatch. I'm wondering if they'll ever do something like that, because, again, playing heroes made me think of these kinds of things. And I don't think it could be like you're invisible forever, because that would be too powerful, but maybe you have like 10 seconds of invisibility or something like that. Could be interesting.
I'd totally be okay if that never made it into the game.
I guess, yeah. All right.
I hate stealth so much. Don't have
it could be well done. I think, I'm wondering how many different paths they have available at this point. I'm sure they'll find things, but making differences in gameplay at this point with the very different elements of gameplay that you find in the game already, I'm wondering if they're going to have lots of original things to offer for the next characters. But I'm sure they always come up with something at Blizzard. But
I'm about to say I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah,
I mean, we already have a very large stable of heroes. The game isn't really hurting for variety. But we know there's more heroes coming down the pipeline at some point.
Yeah, and seeing how inventive they are with Heroes of the Storm is filling me with confidence. So
yeah. Although latest heroes, I feel like they've been a little safe.
Well, see, so I've been getting into it recently. So I've been discovering the entire stable of heroes now, basically.
Gotcha.
I knew a little bit from here and there, but now I'm getting into the a little bit more of the thick of things, and I'm amazed. Like, every hero I try for fun plays in a completely different way. So
yeah, no, they have a very wide variety of kits. They're doing a good job over there.
Yeah.
So before we end the show, we have to talk about Activision and Blizzard buying MLG. And talk about beta a little bit. Obviously, the purchase of MLG by Activision Blizzard, ActiBliz, if you prefer.
No one does.
It's quicker, I guess. Anyway, we don't really know what this acquisition means in the long run. We don't know how this is going to directly affect the forward-facing kind of esports footprint of Blizzard, but I'm surprised that I'm not, because they've been doing this since October. They hired MLG's co-founder Mike Sepso. They also hired NFL Network's chief executive Steve Bordsney. This all happened back in October. And now they've completed their collection of MLG, because with the purchase of MLG, now the other co-founder of MLG and the CEO, Sundance Steve Giovanni, is heading over there. If this was Pokemon, they just got their Mewtwo.
I guess it's so I think it's interesting. I think it's Activision Blizzard acknowledging that they don't have the know-how or the time to develop the know-how to be running basically what is a sports league.
Right there.
And they could do it if they had started, in 2011. But Blizzard has a lot of experience running their own games, but I think admittedly by everyone's accounts, they're not doing the best possible job for most of the. It's often a little bit confusing. You're not sure where to go to watch the stuff. I mean, it's not ideal. It's good that they're doing it, but it's not ideal. And there have been multiple reboots and rethinkings of all of these leagues for StarCraft and Heroes and I don't know, honestly, I don't know that the MLG is going to have an influence on what Blizzard does specifically, the way they organize their tournaments and their seasons, but the MLG already has the infrastructure for broadcasting and managing that aspect of things. So it's basically Activision Blizzard, buying their way into an organization, into the industry of esports broadcasting is the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think you said it, and you moved past it really quick. They bought the infrastructure. MLG has a ton of stuff. They have like custom software websites, live streaming, all kinds of broadcast tech. That they have access to, that they develop themselves, that works very well. It's one of the best things about watching an MLG event from home. Is their streaming capabilities are really good. So now Activision Blizzard have access to all of that. They now have the infrastructure that MLG already had pre-built. So this can, I think, in my mind, be nothing but good if you're an esports fan of Activision or Blizzard games. We'll see in the long term what it means for actual MLG, because they said in the short term nothing's changing. They're still doing MLG events. All of the events that are happening at the arena in Ohio is still happening as planned. I know they're saying it, but man, I'm going to be super surprised if they if they continue to support non-Activision Blizzard titles into the far future.
That's the big question. Are they going to be doing this just for their own game, which is a possibility, but it's like 90% Blizzard games. So
right, that's the thing. I mean, up to this point, MLG in the last multiple years really haven't had any Blizzard titles. StarCraft kind of brought them to fame, and then they dropped StarCraft once the MOBAs became the big hotness, and we really haven't seen Blizzard games return to MLG.
So if they stop doing non-Activision Blizzard games, it's going to be all Blizzard and Call of Duty, right?
Right. Basically, unless there's more things coming down the pipeline.
Maybe some Destiny in there somewhere.
Who knows? Yeah, I think you could make an esport out of Destiny if you wanted to.
If you wanted to, yeah.
Right. It's not my esport cup of tea, but shooters in general aren't my esports cup of tea. I like isometric games or Rocket
But I
League,
think, I think they might look for a way of making it bigger than just Activision Blizzard and making it bigger than what MLG currently is. I think we've been discussing this over the past few months, but I think there's an opportunity to expand the esports appeal beyond esports enthusiasts, because currently there's a huge amount of gamers that are just gamers and not esports enthusiasts for a bunch of reasons. Just ease of access. It's ridiculous how complicated it is to follow something. We've discussed this on many shows as well. To follow something when we know it's happening. So I think the opportunity is there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go beyond the Activision Blizzard stable, just because it's so restricted. It's not restricted, but I don't know. Maybe they're just going to be using it for all of the Call of Duty and all of the Blizzard games. It's possible.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I would be impressed if they kept it publisher agnostic into the far future. So yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that goes. So
I hope there's some kind of an app on my Apple TV or Android TV or whatever that I can. There's no MLG. Twitch, the problem is you have Twitch apps, but it's very difficult to find what you're looking for if you're looking for esports specifically. There are so many things on Twitch.
If you're trying to
launch it,
if you're trying to say channel surf for esports, yes it is. If you know what you're looking for, it's very easy, because usually if it's a big event and you go to the games channel, it's probably the number one thing on that channel. However, if you want to watch it
at the time it's happening.
Right.
But if you want to watch it a couple of hours later or the next day, you get there and you're presented with 5 videos that last 8 hours, for which, the first hour is this is going to start soon, and you're scrubbing and trying to find it and find it.
Well,
this is really not.
I would make the argument that that's 10,000 times better than traditional sports, which is if you don't watch it live, no one gives a crap that you missed it, and you just watch recaps all day.
Yeah, but for regular sports, if you want to watch the final, you log it, you turn on your TV at a specific time. It's an hour and a half, and you're done. And it's a very specific time, and you know when it's going to happen. And if you're in France, you know what time it is. Here, it feels like I don't even know when it's happening, or maybe it's because they do everything in one day and they have to do the semifinals first, and then I don't know. But it's never clear to me what I need to do if I want to enjoy something. And I'm a gamer. I might not be an esports enthusiast, but I'm still a gamer. I should know. I do podcasts about these things. And if I'm not specifically seeking out that thing, I'm not going to be informed. And I think that's where an MLG-powered Activision Blizzard can bring value to esports.
I agree with all of your points.
Thank you. Oh, see, we end the show on an agreement.
I would like an easier to digest esports entertainment as well. It's something that there's not very much of. It was something I really enjoyed. When I originally got into esports, I got into StarCraft, and I was watching GSL in South Korea, and they had like single groups on weeknights to do like their round of 32. And so you would only watch at most 4 people play in maybe a 2, maybe 3 hour stint. And that was so easily digestible. And that was my first kind of intro to esports. So when I started branching out and watching more of it, and I realized that the large majority of esports events are these 8-hour marathon sessions that you're talking about, I was losing my mind. I still to this day cannot understand how anyone can be expected to sit and watch something for that long.
Yeah, this is ridiculous, honestly. And I mean, I've been saying on different shows, what I want is to bring people into this, a half an hour to an hour show that summarizes the best plays, the best things that have happened in the past week or two on YouTube, on video somewhere, where I can sort of get my bearings in the esports world and start to get interested. And that, to my knowledge, I've asked everywhere, it does not exist. So that it's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. And maybe, a weekly, then you can get a weekly StarCraft digest and a weekly League of Legends digest and these kinds of things.
Yeah,
I mean, if
you look
in the esports community, you're expected to already be the biggest expert of everything that happened in that specific super niche game. Well, I say niche, I mean specific game for League of Legends. If you're not already into League of Legends, good luck understanding anything I'm not even talking about the gameplay, like the tournament structure and the things and the 8 hours of, yeah.
Who played who won, who lost, why it mattered.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want to know. You want that story, and I understand that. I'm pretty sure you can find that for specific games. Finding that for all esports, like encompassed into a one-stop shop, there's very few people I think who are interested in that, because most people, just like sports, they probably don't like every damn sport. They don't want to turn on ESPN and watch a recap of every sport currently being played around the world. They just want to see their NFL recap or their MLB recap or their NBA recap.
But don't they have, like, I know in France we have a daily newspaper about sports, and people who like sports,
that absolutely does exist. You can go to daily.esports. They're not they're not title specific. You go there and you can read about just about every big story that's happening in esports right now, and that exists everywhere. TeamLiquid.net has for a long time now covered a lot more than just StarCraft. Their Wikipedia on Wikipedia is basically the sports pages. That's how I keep up on it.
Right. What I want is a video version of this, because it's very different when you're looking at, when you're reading team whatever beat team awesome at this tournament in League of Legends that I've never played. And when you watch that awesome play where, I don't know League of Legends as well, so I'm not going to understand all of the intricacies of that play, but I'm going to see some character blow up and people screaming. That's going to be a very different feeling. So
fair enough. I got you. Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. I mean, there's some there is some of that around, but a lot of them are shorter than what you're asking for. I've seen a lot of 10-minute recaps, but
I wouldn't mind even starting by watching those. If there is someone that knows a YouTube channel that does that, weekly recaps of everything esports, let me know at NotPatrick.
Wonderful. Well, I think it's going to do it for this week's episode. We will see you in 2 weeks' time, where we're going to finish up our hero-specific episodes with the attack heroes. So we'll be talking about killing folks in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Finally,
we
aggression.
Cut through the fat, and it's all about just bullets.
And and shurikens and rockets and stuff. And yeah, we wanted to talk about a little bit about what the beta we were hoping for when it returns, but I think we've run a little bit long. It would be conjecture anyway. If we don't have news next time, maybe we'll do that. Yeah. But for now, that's going to be it.
We'll see how it goes. Follow us on Twitter at OverwatchCast. You can email us at mail, overwatchers@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and check our videos out over at youtube.com/amovetv. Patrick, where can folks find you?
FrenchSpin.com is the website where I have my the shows I produce in English. And Not Patrick on Twitter and Facebook is the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Wonderful. Thanks again, by the way, to Bo Schwartz, a.k.a. Gorath, for our fantastic intro music. I'm just going to be headbanging that for a while now. I also found myself humming it last night, so I know he did well because I was humming it. So,
and we're going to be playing it now, right?
Yeah, probably on the outro. Well, if you're watching the video version, probably not, because I put outros in post. But anyways, follow me on Twitter at GarrettArt. There's 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett, 1 R and 1 T in art. But you probably knew that already. Find me on nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. And just check out everything, all of the shows over at amove.tv, including this one. Leave us an iTunes review if you have not already. This week we want to thank Animal_Man, Multizord, and Feldoran. Thank you guys for your 5-star reviews in iTunes.
Multizord, that's the Payload people, the podcast, the Payload.
Awesome. Why are you asking me questions I don't know the answer to?
Well, okay. Well, I think it is. I mean, oh, no, not the Payload. Oh, my bad. The Cavalry. I think it's the Cavalry. Sorry, Multizord. Both shows are good. I listened to both. But yours, I listened to the latest today. It was fun.
I am really behind on a lot of podcasts, so I don't know any of these.
All right. I think that is going to be it for us, right?
Yeah. Wonderful. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next time. Good luck and have fun.